Who here has ever stopped themselves from doing something because they were afraid of what somebody else would think of them? And I'm not talking about like walking down the strip wearing a Speedo or something like that. I'm talking about really, something important to your core values, your sense of who you are. My entire childhood was a situation like this. I was raised by incredibly loving, but very strict Indian American immigrants. I basically had 4 career options in front of me. Become a doctor. Well, I'm afraid of blood, so that one didn't really work out. Become a politician. I ended up working on Capitol Hill for 2 years when I was in high school. At the end, I just couldn't stand the bullshit. Becoming a lawyer. There's far too much paperwork involved with that job. And finally, as a completely listless graduating senior with no direction, I found myself pushed into a job as an investment banker. From the minute I started that job, I hated it. It just felt like I was a cog in some big machine being slowly ground into dust. Completely by chance, a few months into my banking job, I ended up going on a trip to the Middle East. While I was in Israel, I saw an amazing group of young entrepreneurs, part of the Zell Entrepreneurship Program. They completely blew me away with the passion that they felt for the businesses that they were starting. They were so centered in their desire to improve the world and really had a sense of who they were and where they were going. As soon as I got on that plane back to the United States, I decided that I had to quit banking. Now, why am I telling you a story like this when I'm supposed to be talking about how to build authentic relationships with other people? The simple point at the end of the day is that it's impossible to build a really deep, authentic relationship with anybody if you really can't do that with yourself first. If you can't really know yourself, what makes you tick as a person, what your deepest desires are, where you want to go, what motivates you to wake up and jump out of bed every morning, then how can you possibly understand somebody else, understand what their goals and ambitions and deepest desires are? How can you get inside them in that way and really be close to them? The next really important issue in terms of building an authentic relationship with somebody else is to really invest yourself in random encounters. The sheer act of exposing yourself to something that'll strip away all your expectations of how to behave. All of us have very rigid ideas imposed by society on how we can go about achieving success, what we can and can't do. Unfortunately, a lot of this baggage restrains us from really being who we are, from really expressing ourselves in our deepest ways. I found in my life that the most fruitful opportunities have come from completely random encounters with people. A really good example is how I ended up starting my business, Hydros. I'd come back from the Middle East without any job now. I was starting to get a little desperate, living off my savings, and just randomly decided to start going to as many social engagements as possible. I remember coming back late one night exhausted from a trip and getting a phone call from a friend inviting me to another party. And for some reason, I decided in that exhausted state to turn my cab around on my way back to my condo and go to this event. At this event, over drunken cocktails, I met 2 young men with a wonderful idea for a fast flow, premium quality filtering water bottle. And we struck a business partnership that day, which has grown into a multi-million-dollar company with nationwide distribution. If I hadn't gone to that event, I still don't know what would have come of my life. The next really key part of building an authentic relationship with other people is to do good. In my experience, you can really only get by giving. it's really paradoxical, and you shouldn't really expect that, going out and being so selfless would ever get you something. But to me, it boils down to the concept of sort of energy exchange. If you put out a really positive energy into the universe, if you really go out there and try and do as much good as possible, it comes back at you a million times over. Really good example is with my experience in building one of my family foundation's flagship programs, the Ibriham Leadership and Dialogue Project in the Middle East. This was at the exact same time that my partners and I were launching Hydros. And there was a lot of worry in the office that this could be a distraction for me, setting up a program from a multi-million-dollar foundation. At the end of the day, I ended up doing both. And the very fact that I threw myself into this program with such passion and ended up building a project that would be the first ever to take American students to both Saudi Arabia and Israel on the same trip opened so many doors for me that ultimately provided for my business. Completely unexpectedly, I found myself raising millions of dollars from people who I would never have had access to in my life. And to this day, it astounds me that people like that would ever want to do business with me. The only thing that I can say about this is that if you really have a deep passion for something and you're able to express that in a powerful and deep way, it will resonate with other people. Not that you should ever go into such interactions expecting that you will get anything out of it. I think that would spoil the energy. But if you're so selfless and really go out of your way to do good for others, it's just going to be a multiplier effect for you many, many, many times over. The last and most important thing that I've learned about deeply connecting with other people is the power of investing in community. And I really have to thank you guys at the Downtown Project for really finally hammering home this point to me just in this trip, because it's so inspiring to see how you guys are literally from nothing nourishing an entire community, how you just so intuitively understand how interconnected all of us are at so many different levels, and how you're taking such pain and passion to incorporate that into the soul of this project. In fact, I'll tell you, I'm so impressed by what's happened here that I've decided that I need to move my company. And this needs to be one of the places on the short list for that move.
All right.